Oh, hey guys, good of you to join us. Holy moly, it's been a while. We had a great Thanksgiving. Um, the man you see before me, who's got the most powerful brain probably here in Ohio, you could feel the electrical impulses shake up the room every time he has a thought. This is,
I'm Mark,
yes,
and this magnificently multi-talented man, you should hear him play the piano, is
Elmer.
And
We are
Marc and Elmer's PSI, Genocide Investigations.
Right, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Uncle Elmer, we want to tell you something. We saw on the TV that President Biden, he forgave a turkey.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
he forgave a turkey. And so we was out with our, doing school stuff,
Okay,
and we saw a turkey.
you did.
Yeah, and then we forgave the turkey, and all I said it was okay to bring him home.
Oh, you guys.
I didn't know that,
Yeah,
but I guess if Aunt Laura says so,
well, Aunt Laura says okay. I guess it's okay.
yeah, it must be okay.
So,
Well, you should ask his name.
So, little turkey, what's your name?
Well, he doesn't. I don't think he talks, but he'd ask Eager.
Eager?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Eager, what's his name?
we call him Turkey.
Tuki?
Turkey.
Tuki. Okay.
Yeah, for the
Very clever name.
Turkey. And that's because Grogu says it's a really dirty word where he comes from, and we think it's really funny.
Oh, okay. Tuki. Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Tuki. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble gobble.
Yes. So, anyways, Thanksgiving. I guess yours went well.
It's quiet.
It was quiet.
Yeah, we don't have family around, so Laura though made a wonderful meal.
Yeah, from what you told me.
She made just a turkey breast, and then she slow cooked it, so it was just shredding.
Right.
With a gravy base that she mixed up with some barbecue sauce. It was really quite tasty. And then it's a cornbread muffin mix. No, cornbread stuffing.
Ah.
And she made her own homemade version of the classic green bean casserole. So we had organic French green beans. She used real cream, heavy whipping cream, and cremini mushrooms and some olive oil and things like that. She did find a jar of organic fried onions.
A jar of organic fried...
A can. Yeah, of organic fried onions.
I didn't think those things were organic.
Well, these were.
These were. Wow.
But it was really tasty. So I had some white pepper and stuff like that. And then she made scalloped potatoes.
Good.
So,
Oh, folks, it doesn't get better.
and of course, there's more of it in the freezer. How about you?
Okay, well, our Thanksgiving was a little different. Okay, so, anyways, my brother.
Which one?
Well, the one brother who's 1 year younger than I am. His name's Eldemar.
Right.
So
He's staying with your mom.
No, he's not staying with my mom.
Oh,
he's in Indiana. He's the one over at.
Oh, this is the one that works for Eli Lilly.
Yeah, Eli Lilly.
Oh.
So, anyways, his wife is usually the pro at cooking. And so much so that she's even introduced herself to Filipino cuisine.
Oh my!
And so
she's American.
She's
White.
American.
I mean Caucasian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, I had a conversation with my brothers, and one of them says to us, says, "Isn't it a little shameful that we have an American sister-in-law who knows more about Filipino cooking than we do?" He says, "Well, yeah, I guess so, a little bit." He says, "But it comes off." My one brother from Eli Lilly says it comes off more like Hoosier Pinot than actual Filipino.
Hoosier Pinot, I get it.
Hoosier, get it? Hoosier.
They're from Indiana, so Hoosier Pinot.
Yeah, Hoosier Pinot.
He wasn't trying to say something dirty.
Yeah, no, what? So, anyways, they didn't come to Thanksgiving this year.
Oh.
They wound up over at Connecticut to meet my young nephew's girlfriend, parents. So apparently it might be getting a little serious.
Their son?
It's their son.
Oh,
Their son.
for direct family stuff.
Yeah. So he's about to graduate from Xavier University.
Got one of those up in Connecticut?
No, here in Ohio. Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. Oh, but his fiance was.
We don't know if he's fiancé.
Oh, but his girlfriend.
But his girlfriend
Okay.
is there. So,
but it still means if mom and dad go all the way from Indiana
to Connecticut
to visit a
girlfriend. Yeah. So it's getting serious. So they're both graduating from Xavier University, Cincinnati, Ohio. So that's where they met.
It's a Catholic university, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Down in Cincinnati. It's very famous.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has University of Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and then there's the University of Cincinnati Conservatory,
Yeah.
which is famous music school, and there's also a very famous medical school connected with
Yeah.
Cincinnati. And then there's probably other ones, but I know Xavier is also really a strong school.
Oh yeah, very strong school. So anyway, so it was me, Kathy, Elman, the martial arts
What
expert.
do you call it that he does?
Everything, really.
He does it
It's
all.
Filipino martial arts. He does karate. He does taekwondo. He does.
This guy's big time.
He does Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Elman Cabotage.
Yeah, he does it all. So
He travels around and teaches people.
yeah, he does. Yeah, does workshops and things. But anyways,
This guy can kick butt too.
no, piano. Piano. Maybe competition. We'll see. But anyway, so it was all of us there, including mom and my baby brother who's at Findlay, Ohio. So we're all sitting at the table. The food was good. And they actually requested that I make some fried rice, which I did.
Oh.
And we brought in pies, pumpkin pies from Just Pies Company.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Now, since none of us knew how to cook a turkey, prepare a turkey.
Really?
So, all right, we had turkey from Bob Evans, which really wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. I mean, they brought in stuffings, they brought in mashed potatoes, they brought in turkey, they brought in stuffing and cranberry sauce. It was all there. So, but on the Filipino side, I did bring in a nice big thing of fried rice, and they'd never tried my fried rice before.
Oh.
So for them, it was a real treat, and
I've never had it either.
so they finished a good portion of it.
Good for you.
So anyway, so we're sitting around the table, and the stories start beginning. So, as you well know, my brother, is real big on martial arts, and last spring, he was in Colorado someplace in a competition, and last time we talked about, he had competed against a bunch of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds
And beat him.
badly. So
Not literally, probably. But
yeah,
I mean, he won.
yeah, he won.
Yeah.
So anyways,
You might have whooped on him a little bit.
yeah. So, anyways, so he's at home, and an acquaintance of his, who teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and other things as well, um, told him about his wife. His wife had an instructor, and she's not happy with it. She says she wants to find another teacher, so she wanted to see if my brother was available for about a month or two to, teach his wife some stuff, which he took up the job, which he did. He taught her a bunch of stuff. And a couple months later, his buddy shows up and says, my wife has nothing but great things to say about you. She says she's feels much more, adaptable on the mat now, competing with others and things like that. So she appreciates it, and I appreciate it. So, anyways, I asked my brother. So I heard you're competing for the for a world championship. He says, when are you leaving? He says, I'm not. He says he can't because he couldn't afford it. Plus, he didn't have a team to help prepare for it. So, which was because he had beaten those 20, 30-year-olds, which made him qualify. Yeah. And so he says, you're not going? The guy asked me. He says, no, I can't go. He says, well, you want to go? He says, well, I'd like to, but he pulls out of his pocket tickets, a ticket to Las Vegas. He could go. And so my brother said he took him 1 month to prepare for this because he wasn't expecting to go. So he had to really train really hard for a whole month to get ready for this thing. So the story has it, he flew to Las Vegas, registered, came in, told him he was in and was ready to compete. He took down the first guy. He took down the second guy. Then there was the third guy. And he proved to be his toughest opponent so far. He said that they had an actual, they actually had to be out on the mat for 2 rounds. Which is...
That's intense.
Yeah, that's intense, because usually these things only last 1 round and then it's over. So this one lasted 2 rounds.
It's like in sumo in Japan.
Yeah.
They go ding ding, and then sometimes, they're wrestling around for a while, but sometimes it's like 8 seconds and boom.
Exactly. So now, mind you, these are senior citizens. Okay, they're nearly my age. Okay, and so.
But they're in better shape than we.
Yeah, they're much better shape than we are. So at the end of 2 rounds, they had judges there, and all the judges scored the match as tied. And so the only tiebreaker they had was judgment from the referee to see who had advantage at the end of the match. And he picked the other guy.
Oh no!
Yeah, so that's what happened. And needless to say, my brother said that
he disagreed with him.
Well, no, he didn't. He didn't. He said he was the toughest match, but the guy later on, the one that he lost to, took on 2 more guys and beat those guys, and he won the whole thing. And he went over to congratulate him, and the guy, told him, he says, "You are by far the toughest opponent I've ever had to compete against." He says, I don't know how you do it, but he congratulated my brother as well as being his most challenging opponent. So this other guy, he works with Navy SEALs.
Yowza.
Yeah, no kidding. So a lot of it, his team, he has a team. He had 5 guys there, and they were all from the Navy SEALs. Some of them retired. One of them actually trained Chris Kyle.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was interesting. So, but anyways, my brother told me that, funny things are happening in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions these days. He says, and it's sort of a prejudice they have against wrestlers. Yeah, I know it's kind of strange, but
I thought that the jiu-jitsu is kind of,
yeah, I know particularly Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
where most of the battle is done
on the
on the
mat.
mat,
Yeah.
right? And so they have something against wrestlers. He said for some reason. Um, he said he went to a competition where he took on some French guy, I guess, and they were battling it out, and my brother had the advantage. He was right on top, and the guy just did this basically. And while the referee was trying to referee the match, he blew the whistle and called stalling. Not on the guy that was doing this, my brother,
Really?
who was on top trying to maneuver
Huh.
things. And so, anyways, so they got up again and restarted the match. And once again, the same thing happened. The other guy was on his back and was like this. And what did the referee do? Blew his whistle and called stalling, and my brother was disqualified.
Oh,
Exactly.
wow.
So, and the other guy who was, he says, my brother was like, "What's going on?" And the guy on the mat, French, he says, "Yeah." He says, "Does that mean I won?" He's like, "How did I do that?" He was just as confused. He says, all he did was this, and so that was a time wasted on that match. So, but that's what was going on with my brother. Most of the stories came from my brother concerning his matches and his competing for the world title.
Mm.
So, otherwise,
How old is he now? He's younger.
he's younger than I am. He's going to be 58.
He's in really good shape.
Oh yeah, he's in excellent shape.
Excellent. So he can do it again.
Oh yeah, he could do it
How
again.
often do they do it? Every 3 years or something?
I don't know how often, but he says that he watched the video playback, the video of his match over from Las Vegas,
And he did have good technique.
and the guy was good, and he was.
And you think your brother thinks he was better?
My brother thinks he could next. He says, "I'm definitely going
Gonna
to
win
back."
the next
And he
one.
says, "I'm going to win the next one." And he says, He's watching the match on his phone. And he's like,
Yeah.
"God, I can't believe it." And he's thinking that he can't believe he did this. He can't believe he did that.
Oh,
He says, "I'm going to compete again." He says, "And I'm going to beat this guy." And the winner, by the way, was not from any other part of the world. He was from Texas.
Yeah.
He's from Houston, the winner. So he says, the guy says, "If you're ever in town, come on and visit."
oh, they could spar.
Yeah, they could spar and do stuff.
That'd be cool.
So, let's see. Anything else? Oh yeah. Somebody messaged me on Facebook, and this is a blast from my past.
Oh,
It was my old conductor from Bowling Green State Youth Orchestra.
wow. Back when you played the viola or something?
Back when I played the viola.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she messaged me on Facebook, gave me her phone number, and we talked. I called her up, and she's a wonderful person. She's a wonderful person. She's just as sharp as ever.
She watched the show? Did she know about
I
it?
told her about it. So
Why'd
if
you
you're
say hi
out
to her?
there, this is it. So,
Can you say her name? It's okay. Some people like to hear that.
okay, well,
Say hello.
hello, Estelle.
Oh. Hello, Estelle.
This is Mark. So,
Oh, stop!
That was him.
so anyways, yeah, we have quite a past together, particularly in orchestra, and we had a really good time. But anyways, so we come back to Columbus, Ohio, and well, let me ask you this: how often do we have pianists who develop a strong relationship with a composer? The one I could think of is particularly Horowitz and Rachmaninoff.
They got Percy Granger with Bart Grieg.
Percy Granger and Edvard Grieg. That's a good
They
one.
were quite close.
Yeah, they were quite close. So he would definitely know
Beethoven with himself.
Beethoven. I was going to say Carl Czerny.
Actually, Czerny premiered the Emperor, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Carl Czerny with Beethoven.
We don't have any recordings of Carl Czerny. So.
In a sense, Clara Schumann with Robert.
Robert Schumann. Yeah. But Clara was a composer herself.
Yeah. Yeah, she was, and a good one, actually, as it turns out. But we think of her historically as one of the great pianists.
Yeah.
More from the kind of more older school German, more conservative approach.
Yeah.
Different from like the Liszt kind of style.
Right.
Or Chopin or that whole Polish French thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I wanted to use this prelude as for our segment. Next segment.
Ooh, I got one more.
Oh, you got one more? Who?
Who's the guy that always smoked and took pills for everything? He was a hypochondriac.
Oscar Levant?
Oscar Levant and George Gershwin.
George Gershwin. Okay, well, there you go. That's a good one, too.
Gershwin liked him. He thought he was really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's got some nice stuff. Okay. All right. So, anyways. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers old and new, I'd like to introduce PSI, High Plains Thrifter.
Hey!
Don't forget to get Tookie a hat.
Hey, Tookie.
So Turkey gets where I had to? Okay.
Okay, Tookie.
I'll make sure I put that in there.
All right, High Plains Thrifter.
Yeah.
Welcome to High Plains Thrifter, PSI High Plains Thrifter. Anyways, I didn't go to any thrift stores or anything like that. Just house cleaning and went straight to the archives. And
I got stuff for it too.
okay, cool. You can't wait to see. I can see from here. What I have for you is a CD. And we've mentioned this pianist's name many times before. It is Rudolph Perkushny.
Oh, yeah. My teacher studied with him.
Yeah, I remember
Ellsworth
that.
studied with him.
Yeah. Well, what few people know is Rudolph Perkushny actually was a student project for one Leos Janáček.
Oh,
He studied with Leos
I
Janáček.
did not know that.
He started.
But for Kushny, despite the name, it's a little weird, but
Yeah,
it was Czech.
yeah. So apparently, as a child, he was taken. The composer was taken with him as a child. And apparently raised him as his student. Listening to music and reading through music.
I know a story. Do you know this story about him, about Perkushny? I think Ellsworth might have told it to me, but
Okay.
I've seen it in writing.
All right.
He was doing a concert somewhere.
Uh-huh.
The electricity went out in the auditorium. He had just started or finished the first movement, or was getting close to finishing
Yeah.
first movement of the Schumann Fantasy.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
Second movement and then second movement.
Yeah.
He played the whole rest of the thing in the dark.
The second movement too.
Mm.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the story I understand. But there was kind of a famous moment where the lights went out and he just kept playing.
Holy
Didn't stop.
crap.
The audience went bonkers because eventually the electricity came back on.
Yeah, but
He played,
still.
and so everybody sat in the dark and listened to this man play the Schumann Fantasy in the dark. Now there could have been some ambient light, maybe, I don't know, but Professor Wynn used to make me do that.
What, play in the dark?
We used to go into Creek Hall.
Right.
The piano studios were just down in the building behind the hall. And then he'd peek in there and say, it's empty. He'd say, come on, let's go in. And I would have gotten things up to the point where they're memorized and we could play on the piano. He started to do this when I was like around 16. And I did it was my second important recital with him. I did one before. I don't know, I was 15 or so. This one was a good one. I did ABC preludes and some big Chopin pieces and things like that. I think that might have been the one where I had learned the Polonaise Fantasy.
Wow.
I was 16 or so. But we went into Creek Hall They had these huge storm curtain kind of things on the windows and stuff. And the only thing that was on was the exit light over the door, and the door back there. It was black as sin.
And you played.
And they said,
practice that.
Play. No, he said play. And it was all about seeing with your hands and your fingers on the keys, so that you could do it. And it's we don't think about it except in a situation where that would be forced on us.
Yeah.
But when we're playing the piano a lot, it depends. Some pianists are very glued to watching their hands.
Yeah.
I was more sometimes looking up and away and playing, that kind of thing, searching for inspiration from the ethers.
Or
and
praying.
then more recently, I play some things by memory, but I tend to just use the score. It's up there, and I'm not like glued to it.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way: I don't wash my hands, but it's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you have to leap for things or you don't go for stuff, and you hit it most of the time.
Yeah,
right?
most
of the time, you get it right, and that's this. I don't know, perception vision or something,
Muscular
memory in terms of things. But he kind of emphasized it by turning off all the lights. And interestingly, he just said, just take a breath and relax and just play. He said, it shouldn't be that much different. He said, at first, if you're thinking about it, I can't see my hands. Yeah, but he said, I watch you play. You don't look at your hands when you play.
Yeah.
So it was a good lesson. But I didn't mean to go on so long.
That's okay.
But I remember this story about percussion, but I never. I played the Schumann Fantasy for my master's recital.
Yeah.
I was okay, but.
Could you do it in the dark?
No, I wouldn't even try. Because anybody who's a pianist, this conclusion, the cadenza at the end of the second movement.
Yeah.
Where you're going. And there are really some big leaps.
Oh, yeah.
And, I didn't, it was not 100% true. It was okay. But terrifying.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
And to do that in the dark, no way.
No way. Yeah.
So anyway, you got Mr.
Anyways,
Fukushima.
Yeah, Mr. Fukushima.
Probably playing Janacek?
It is playing Janacek. Look what's on this thing. It's that Sonata, 1905. He does both books of the collection On an Overgrown Path. He also does In the Mist. And this one's interesting. A work called A Recollection. And that one's only 48 seconds.
Huh.
Interestingly enough. But it comes with this little booklet, and it talks about him working with Janacek.
Wow.
So what a neat thing, huh?
That's a nice find.
Oh, it's a great find.
Like that.
And
I don't have a lot of percussion.
Oh, I used to have a percussion his recording of the Pictures of the Exhibition a long time ago. Don't know whatever happened. Let me show the folks this. This is RCA Victor Red Seal recording. There it is. Handsome fella.
Yeah, he was a good looking fella.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is probably the standard where most pianists are probably judged by as far as interpreting Janacek. Lots of eye-opening things here. He has an understanding of lines. The one work, the collection of pieces in On an Overgrown Path. That one's interesting. There's a work on it, on that piece, called The Owl, and it's amazing. It creates an atmosphere, sort of a foggy atmosphere, and all of a sudden you hear, almost out of nowhere. And oh my God, if you listen to it, it does sound like a sticking out. But anyways, yeah, if you can find this recording, um, make no hesitation to pick it up for all you pianists. Janacek definitely deserves to be played. I don't think I've ever heard him any of his work in, say, like competitions, but I would say that the sonata would be a welcomed work in some of these competitions. Um,
I wonder if that's an important date. 1X 1905 is the way that Europeans would say the 1st of October.
Yeah.
So is that an important date?
Well, to Janacek it was. So there was a protest against the Russians. I think there was a protest in some town in Czechoslovakia, and there was just this one student. All he wanted to do was get to class, and he was trying to get past these guards, and for some reason or other, a quarrel ensued, and he was shot.
Yeah, I remember that now.
So
then there's a movie made about that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, tragically, Janacek responded to it, the way he did, because it's, in a way, it's the work is basically a eulogy, in memoriam of that particular day. I guess quite a few people knew the kid. He was just a student, probably not much older than maybe 20 years old or something. All he wanted to do was just go to school, and he was shot. So, but it's heart-wrenching. The work is actually heart-wrenching because in a way you hear the different lines, particularly in the first one where you hear the chord changes. It almost sounds like a chorale. It's very solemn, but then all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 the counter rhythm. It's very these quicker notes, and it's almost as if they're just thoughts. They're just thoughts and feelings about how people responded to the happening. It's actually angering. So I would imagine those are just thoughts that are just going through people's heads, as just opposed to what's the chorale that's going on. So now originally, the sonata actually had 3 movements originally, and well, for some reason or other, after he heard the 3rd movement being played by a student that was appointed to learn the work, he just took the pages, tore them out of the book, and threw them in the furnace. He did. Yeah, he did. He didn't like the 3rd movement, and he just said.
You want to check the one that wrote Genova? Is that?
Yes, that is the one. Boy, you talk about a tragedy. Boy, that opera. Holy moly. Yeah, that one. that one doesn't fail to get a response.
I was just thinking.
But most of his work is like that. If he wants something to compose something that's going to make you respond, or shock you, which Genova does that basically. If some of you have never seen Genova, listen to it or even watch it. They have a performance on YouTube. You're in for a shock of your life. That one, even by some today's standards, that's a really big shocker. It's almost like a rated R film, basically, without the, I mean, very few come match that.
It's a beautiful country.
Oh yeah.
I learned finally. We used to say Czech Republic, but they actually call it Czechia. Czechia. That's the name of the country.
Okay, cool.
And I was just thinking that about Czechs. Some Czech pianists that we've known about. some Czech composers. They're quite a nationalistic, proud people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think they have a right to be. Who was that president back in the 80s? Still during communism, and then communism fell.
Yeah.
He was the president of Czech Republic, and he was a poet. Do you remember? He was rather in the news back then.
Yeah, he was.
He started with nature. Anyway,
Yeah.
It was interesting to me that, just as a bit of a history thing, some of these countries really didn't exist until the 20th century, after the First World War.
Yeah.
The area of Czechia
Yeah.
is kind of an old area. It's called Bohemia in English. And there's also our area of the German part was called Moravia.
Yeah.
And I believe the Kingdom of Bohemia was part of the German Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Kaiser Wilhelm would have been the king of Bohemia, which would have included that. The Slovak part, of course, they're separate countries now. I don't know necessarily they belong to, but the interesting thing was, at the time of the First World War, all of the Slavic countries in what was Eastern Europe in the communist times were pretty much divvied up between Prussia, Germany as such, Russia, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Yeah.
And it was all carved out. Poland had been a very powerful and important kingdom, say back in the 1600s to the 1800s or something. Not quite sure then of what happened. I know there's a bunch of revolution because Chopin actually supposedly wanted to stay in Poland and fight. His father told him to leave. And then, of course, he was really wounded by some of his friends or people that he knew were heroes.
Yeah.
And there's certain pieces that he wrote in their memories that would kill. But Hungary was subjugated. Hungary was also a very powerful kingdom. They were something of a menace to the Ottoman Empire many centuries before. But eventually they were subjugated, and Hungary was controlled by Austro-Hungarian Empire from Vienna. And Liszt wrote his piece Funerai, which is from the period of 1840-1849, which was the great revolutionary period. It's the same time when Wagner got involved in Dresden with all the riots. I mean, not just riots, but revolutionary activity, guns and things. And that's when he was not excommunicated, but exiled to Switzerland for 25 years. Because if he was in Germany, he would have been probably killed for treason. But anyway, then Liszt wrote the Funerai from the Harmonie Poétique Religieuse, and that remembers the Hungarian. I think it says something about it, doesn't it?
I think so.
In memory of the Hungarian
but it's
martyrs or something like that. And it's supposed to signify a funeral procession, and then recalling the octave thing, blah, 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 blah. It's supposed to be the Hungarian cavalry and the great massive battle that happens. And Liszt was quite angry about that because the officers in the Hungarian rebellion were aristocrats in most cases, and they were officers. The military tradition with at least captains and up usually, and this goes back a long time in history. They can kill themselves if they're captured. Or sometimes they'd be shot by a firing squad. But you can't murder them in a nasty way like you would do an ordinary soldier, an enemy soldier. The Austrians hanged the generals and the commanders of the Hungarian rebellion with piano wire,
Oh God.
not rope. Not all the time, but in some cases it was piano wire. The Nazis were infamous for doing that because they would push you off and you'd swing.
Yeah.
It wasn't where they would break your neck.
Yeah.
Hanging, if you do it humanely.
Yeah.
The hangman knows how to drop the body far enough that it breaks the cervical spine and killed instantly, practically. No, that piano wire not only, well, basically cuts in.
Yeah.
And it's very painful. And in some cases, heavier people, be almost decapitated. The wire would cut all the way through to the bone. And they'd be living through that while it happened. And Liszt heard about all of that, and he was just, how could one describe the emotion?
Yeah.
But what came out of it was funereal.
Yeah.
So it's a painful history in that whole part of Europe.
Oh yeah.
Central and Eastern Europe. I mean, there was, at the First World War, there was Serbian and Croatian kings. There was a Romanian kingdom, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Bulgarians, possibly. And I don't really know exactly what happened after the war. But eventually, of course, after the Second World War, Tito coordinated all those countries into what was called Yugoslavia and held them brilliantly together for several decades. And then when he died and the communists fell, everything fell apart, and that's when Serbia went on its thing.
Yeah.
But that's because historically there was history between the Croatians, Serbians, and then the Serbians who became Muslims and brought it in Sarajevo, Bosnia. So it's very interesting history and very convoluted history. But they make really good musicians in that.
Oh yeah, they do.
Radovan is Romanian.
It's
right?
Romanian. Yeah.
Percussion was from Czech. There was a famous violinist named Joseph Suk.
Suk.
I have some of his albums.
Yeah, he's Czech, right?
Yeah, and he did trio. There's wonderful performances of the two Schubert piano trios and the one movement. What's it called? It has a name. I don't know. I'll find it and put it up. But and then the composers.
Have you ever tried Joseph Suk's piano pieces?
You?
I have not, but I've actually heard so. Some of that stuff is really gorgeous.
Well, he was regarded also as a pretty significant composer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Sarakin, what was actually his heritage? Because I thought he was from Bohemia.
Yeah.
And technically, so is he's still alive, is Alfred Brindle. They're Bohemian. Now, to my mind, that means Czech. What we call nowadays Czechia. But I don't know how they're listed in terms of their birth, because Sarakin would have been born way back at the beginning of the 20th century, right? And Germany controlled all that stuff. And that's pre-Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
Brindle is listed as an Austrian.
Yeah.
He's technically Austrian.
Yeah.
But I thought it said his family was Bohemian. But anyway, one of my great friends and mentors, Norman Powell, he was Czech heritage.
Yeah.
And there's a big Czech population in Iowa.
Huh.
I forget what the town is. But this is where Dvorak went to visit.
Yeah.
You know, Dvorak came to America and spent some time, mostly in New York, but then he ended up going out to the Midwest and he spent a period of time.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Out in Iowa because there was a huge Czech immigrant community.
Huh.
And he was worshipped like a god.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
But I believe it was just partially his trip out there that influenced the creation of the New World Symphony. And Norman grew up. I'll put the name of the city. It's rather well known in eastern Iowa. I can't think of it at the moment, but he's still alive. He's in his 90s, out in Arizona. Amazing violinist. He was it? He was a bit of a prodigy.
Okay.
But anyway, he was Czech, and he used to talk about that. And he was sometimes very sentimental about it. We used to do the Dvorak Sonatina.
Oh,
He loved to
yeah,
play that piece.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a little
That's
off
okay.
on that. Maybe it wasn't interesting. But
he was a prolific composer for piano as well. Dvorak.
oh yeah,
I have a CD collection. That sucker's like that thick.
you know, we've had this conversation like with
Yeah.
Tchaikovsky and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, we don't make it a point to really pan
Yeah.
things or talk bad about
Right.
it. I just speak from my thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Not a big fan. Let's put it this way: not a big fan of Tchaikovsky or Dvorak
Okay.
solo piano.
How about piano
Love
quartet?
the symphonies.
Piano quartet.
The
Dvorak.
Dvorak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different game though. It's got strings playing.
Yeah.
But there's something. We have this expression "heart on sleeve."
Yeah.
Just like sugary sentimental or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's just that there was what was called a salon style
Yeah.
of music writing. Who's the guy that wrote all the nocturnes from?
John Field.
No. Back in the later 19th century, but they're not highly regarded. Wrote about lots of music. You mentioned him as a composer. You brought stuff in, and I showed you some stuff that I had of his nocturnes. I'll put his name up.
Okay.
There was a certain kind of late 19th century
Was it
into
Little
the
Bird?
20th century. No, I'm talking late 19th century.
Late Nazi.
Viennese guy, but not way up there.
Okay.
But
Huh.
there was, you know, a time of consolidation of money and funds throughout the world. And basically, they say the Belle Epoque of France. So after the Franco-German War, and things got a little better. So the 1880s through to the First World War, perhaps, and then maybe some of the 1920s until the Great World Depression. Everybody had a piano. Everybody's making pianos. There was tons of them. They were well made in general, and there was music that was being written for consumption for kind of the more generally decent amateur.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes feel that a certain amount of Tchaikovsky's production for solo piano, and also to some extent Dvorak in a way, is written for that kind of audience and market and ability.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, I suppose it's also because of the whole nationalistic school thing.
Yeah.
Emphasis on folk songs and the people's music. And, you know, in a way, those Europeans finally being able to express their own nationhood versus being controlled by Germans or Russians, something like that.
Now, let me ask you this. You're not too warm with Tchaikovsky's pianos. What do you think of the music that, the Tchaikovsky's music that was transcribed by Liszt?
Oh, you know, I don't know a lot of it, but I do know.
It was the Polonaise from Eugene Onegin.
Onegin. I have. Oh, come on, I love this guy. What's his name? He did a lot of Nimbus recordings. A short little bald guy that studied with
Oh, sure, Tchaikovsky?
Sure, Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
He's got one or two things by Tchaikovsky that are transcribed
Yeah.
by Liszt. Yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in some cases, one might argue that what Liszt did for some composers'
Yeah.
music,
He actually improved it.
it made about it.
Rachmaninoff also transcribed the lullaby.
Yes, he did. Look, I think no, come on. When it comes to opera or certainly the symphonies of Tchaikovsky, no question.
Okay.
And the B flat minor piano concerto,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay.
Violin concerto, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I also feel the same way about the Dvorak. I mean, in that they were composers who I think.
Now, have you heard his piano concerto? Dvorak's piano concerto?
I know they wrote one, but I'm not familiar, like in my ear with it.
All right.
But I think that they excel in large forces
scale,
of writing. But when it becomes more intimate, I mean, come on, it's Beethoven at the piano, okay?
Yeah.
Or Chopin at the piano, or Brahms at the piano.
Yeah.
Of course, Liszt. I mean, you think about the big boys, Schumann at the piano. They are somehow able to bring girth and weight and profundity and depth and a whole realm of emotional and dynamic possibilities from those 88 keys.
Right.
That some people just don't do as readily. But I would say that maybe it's because of the kind of world that they were writing for and in at the time. There's a huge market. And I mean, when Beethoven's time, this didn't exist. Of course, they did publish music, and there were amateurs, some people that did stuff. But I mean, there was just so much money and wealth, and everybody had pianos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a great Hollywood movie of Woodrow Wilson and his family.
Oh, yeah.
And one of their favorite things to do was for the family to get around the piano at the White House and sing songs and do stuff for each other. The piano is one of, any of those great big old upright pianos with your grandma, or by now in this day and age, your great grandma. Those things were as common as, what do you call the little yellow flowers that people think is weeds out there?
Dandelions?
They were as common as
Dandelions, yeah.
everywhere, or mushrooms, And they were generally well built. There was a lot of expatriate Europeans that came over and worked in these factories.
Yeah.
There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of piano makers before the Great Depression, and then kaboom.
Boom. Yeah.
Most of them disappeared. Didn't make it. I know I got us off track
that's okay.
with this, but it just made me think about some things. I mean, one might say, when you think about some of the musicians, especially in some cases in the 20th century, who came from the Eastern European states or Central European states, there's a lot of bloodshed, a lot of tragedy, and a lot of difficulties that happened, especially because there was an opportunity for freedom and there was revolution and changes and all those things. So that meant probably more blood spilled than there had been even in the previous century.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point when they were conquered or something. But the fact that this all came out of that, I think the pianist, his name was Tomas Vasari.
Yes, Tomas Vasari.
Yeah.
Hungarian.
Yeah, Hungarian guy. I got some of his recordings.
Yeah.
Just think about the people that came from that reality. And then, as I said recently, Kodai, this recording I have of his performing, that guy, I mean, for me, suddenly, I rank it right up there with Ignaz Friedman.
Really?
In terms of, now, Friedman is a magician.
Yeah.
But
Kodai?
not Kodai, I'm sorry, not Kodai. the other.
Sorry?
No. The guy who writes like those list books.
Oh, Kanye.
Dovnani, not the guy. I'm sorry.
All right.
Ernst von Dovnani.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was totally up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you hear his
I agree with you
performing,
there.
an amazing pianist.
Yes.
Every musician, the whole thing. And I suppose it's probably still true to this very day. I'm sure the Liszt Academy is still a
Oh
very
yeah.
special place where it come from.
Oh yeah.
Guadalupe came from Romania,
Yeah.
but then he spent time training in Hungary.
He
No.
may have. He may have.
Anyway, I just got on the talkie. Yeah,
That's okay.
Sorry about that, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
You know, I was trying to think of something to say about Janacek's music that makes it so difficult, and it just hit me. I remember what I was going to say. It's easy if you're learning one of his pieces. It's easy to get caught up in some of the most simple rhythmic syncs that that come to be known as almost elementary. Things like dotted rhythms, and the way he arranges the notes within those dotted rhythms. There's also another part where the Scottish snap, ba-dum, 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 which is just on the beat, and you can get caught up in that alone because of the thickness of the chords, where it goes ba-dum, 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 when really what percussion revealed to me in his recording, not to focus on ba-dum, 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 but the line. Well, you always harped on me about that, thinking horizontally rather than vertically. It's easy to do that in Janacek, to go this way, very easy, when you should be thinking this way. And that's what percussion revealed to me in this recording.
I have a recording of him playing the fantasy.
Oh, the Schumann Fantasy?
Yeah, it's on an LP over there somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I see you got some stuff here.
Well, I haven't been thrifting, like going out and getting new stuff, because I finally made a decision, I don't know, the end of October sometime. Laura just said, if you get any more books, where are we going to put them? My joke is, well, we'll put them on your side of the bed.
Oh, God.
This coffee table here, I don't know how much of it you can see in the picture, but it's actually, these tables are pretty cool. I bought them up in Amish country at a used furniture place. I think I discovered this myself, but I found a picture of them online several years ago when I lived at the House of Commodore.
Yeah.
They're from the 50s. And these tables are worth money, as it turns out. Because the guy that made them, his stuff is rather highly valued by collectors now. Now, I'm not talking like that Van Gogh. Van Gogh. But I don't know. I probably paid $100. I don't remember. It wasn't too bad. But a little bit, but not too bad. But the last I saw, nobody come and break into my house and take my table. Maybe a couple grand apiece. Yeah.
Really?
Because of that, what looks like it could just be painted and all that.
Yeah.
That's actually grooved in
there
to each other.
Yeah.
All
like
the
a
pieces.
puzzle.
It's not just like painted like that. The pieces were painted like that and then fit together.
Wow.
But that used to just be a tabletop. Now it's got these huge trees on it and the whole thing in between. So my God, I mean, I've got a pretty sizable library and those stuff way behind you, and in the entrance hall, and then what we call the healing room. There's a whole bunch of library in there, and then the LPs are down here and all the way up to the hallway, and the CDs are in there.
Between he and I, we could get David for his money.
Oh yeah, I think so. So I thought, I got to start listening to what I already have.
Yeah.
Because, my God, I'm at a certain age now, and I only got, I'm figuring, I had 3 different people that told me different, unrelated to each other, like palm reader type people and all that. I was going to make it to 87. Okay?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's another 25 years.
Yeah.
Right? And they're all independent, but they all settled on 87. I have a really good line in my hand. And I've had some tests done recently. And I did have a heart attack in 2016. But it was only just one blocked vessel, the descending rear artery. And he put a stent in there. And then I had similar symptoms 5 years later, 21. Went back in. I wasn't having a heart attack or anything, but I just said something feels familiar.
Yeah.
Went in, he checked and he said, yep. So we went in and he did, and he just expanded the stent a little farther. Same place.
Yeah.
But I had echocardiogram done recently. You can do this. Had echocardiogram done. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
My heart condition has improved.
Oh!
My heart muscle is stronger than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
And there's no blockages anywhere. And you look at me and you think, this guy's got like 2 months to live, right? I told you it's old stuff. No, but so I'm thinking, I got some time, but still it's only 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, I got boxes in there, which is the complete recording legacy of George Sell,
Oh,
Cleveland Orchestra, and somebody's version of Normandy to Philadelphia, remember?
Yeah.
Plus, my God, I got Cello de Doc. Hey, I've got this thing, like you said, Beauty Manowin collection.
Has his movie came out yet?
No. I think it's going to happen this spring. Little Walters down there.
Oh,
That
geez.
pink one right there, that's Arthur Rubinstein.
Oh, jeez.
And then books for days about everything. So, people, I've always been a little bit of a monkey kind of guy. I mean, monk. Not monkey.
Yeah.
I'm going to read my stuff and really
I'm
enjoy
more of a
what I
hermit.
have. Yeah. No, I suppose that's the same, but for me, the monk thing maybe is more.
Monk is more.
But I think of the hermit.
Philosophizing.
Yeah, but I think of the hermit from a more like the magician point of view. I think that way too.
Really?
Yeah, I like to think. Look what I did here. Found a picture. So much that I like it. I put it on my phone.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's a wizard or Merlin.
Yeah.
I'm really into that. The guy, remember the Lord of the Rings stuff?
Yeah.
Remember the one wizard? I know Gandalf and some of those other guys. One of the guys I really liked, I can't remember his name, I think it started with an R. The one that lived in the woods, and the animals pulled his sled through the woods and stuff. And he lived in that tree. I think that is the most magical stuff. I would love to live in a house in a massive tree. In a forest.
Yeah. All I could think about is Peter Pan.
There you go. Well, anyway, I was
So what do you have here?
looking and listening through some stuff, and I just happened to find some Chopin because I didn't pull it out, but I have an old. It was when I was collecting back in my teens. I have a collected Chopin collection, which has got Guillermo Novaes and Orazio Frugoni and some people like that.
Walter Klein,
Walter
Ingrid Hebler.
I think he said. But yeah, Ingrid Hebler, people like that. It's all I think it's most all of Chopin's solo piano music. And the concerti are there too. Well,
Is that what
I
that
dug
is?
this off the CD shelf. When I was a professor in Cyprus, I took it upon myself to start building a bigger CD collection. I took over maybe one kind of shelf full of CDs.
Yeah.
A few of them. But then I started to, I had a professor's salary and everything, and not a lot to do. But I thought for the kids' sake, because they didn't have a ton of stuff in the library, actually. And just for my own interest, I started to collect things. But I especially thought, if the kids wanted to have exposure to the great repertoire, the common repertoire, I started to buy collections of, I've got some of those big monster boxes of, supposedly, I don't know if it is the complete works of J.S. Bach, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, the
200
suckers like
CDs or
this.
something
Yeah.
like that. I've got one of Joseph Haydn. I've got a Mozart one. I've got a Beethoven one. A lot of them are from brilliant classics.
Yeah, of course.
They're pretty good performances as I've listened to most. I think they're professional.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say they're the best. I would say, for example, in some
Some of the
cases like
performers are unknown.
Deutsche Gramophone's Beethoven.
Yeah.
Well, they've got some serious artists.
Oh yeah.
But it's not to say, like as we discovered, digging under this, scratching the bottom warts off the iceberg.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you've been good enough to be recorded, you're probably good enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I pulled this off the shelf to see, is this the same recreation as my LP collection of Complete Chopin? Is this just the release of it?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, this is got Bela Davidovich,
Whoa.
Louis Lorty,
Louis Lorty.
Zoltan Kochish.
Really?
I've been skipping a few people, some of them I don't know. There's Emil Gilels playing sonatas with Sergio Fiorentino.
Huh.
Some of these people I don't know. I have Ganikis playing the concerto.
This is brilliant classics. Wow.
Collected stuff.
That's
There's a
pretty
great
good.
book in here. This is really cool. CDs 18 through 30 are historic recordings from 1903 to 1956 featured. I won't list everybody. Arthur Rubinstein, Alfred Cortot, Nina Lapati, Sullivan, Simon Barrere, Benno Mozevich, Leopold Godowski, Sergei Rachmaninoff, Alexander Bailovsky, Moritz Rosenthal, Vladimir Horowitz, Edward Kaleny.
Whoa.
I know this guy's name, but I don't know.
Kaleny. He's Hungarian.
Anatoly Kitayin, Ignaz Friedman, Raoul Pugnot, and Vladimir Napoleon.
Wow.
This is truly the complete works. Is like 30 CDs
Wow.
plus a CD-ROM. It's really showing that.
Okay. Did you listen to the Department yet?
Hmm?
Did you listen to the Department?
No, but I should. That would be my next thing. I was listening to some of the regular repertoire. It's
Wow.
it's wonderful.
This is quite a roster.
Bela Davidovich, wasn't she discovered by Arthur Rubinstein and promoted by him? Was that her?
Don't know if that was her. I know of another lady.
Who's the lady that he was so fond of? Oh, I know. The one that Leonskaya. Elizabeth Leonskaya, I think.
Okay.
She was the one that Rubinstein thought very highly of. I haven't purchased it yet, but I might get it because the price has come down. She released, within the last 2 years,
Yep.
complete Schubert sonatas. Leonskaya.
Leonskaya?
Yeah,
Wow,
and I
did
thought
not know
it
that.
might be interesting to hear her. Because I do have some recordings of hers, and I really like them.
Look at that. You even got the songs in here.
Yeah.
I wonder who's accompanying her.
Who they're playing. Maybe who they're playing for.
Yeah. Wow. On the rondos and variations. Wow. Here. I'll show it to you. Yeah, this is the one that's on the Guillermo Narvaez and
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
And then pretty box. It's a great box.
You got a little damage in shipping overseas.
Yeah, see. Taped up.
But it still holds together. All the CDs are working.
Well, you got a better recording than I did.
I would say.
I have the complete recordings, but none of these guys are on it.
Who's the producer?
It's really classic.
Really? It's
But
a different one?
Yeah, but every pianist on that collection I have is something I don't know. I think they're like all young people or something. They definitely play like it.
Oh, that's too bad. This has been a good collection. I mean, when I bought it, I don't know. I seem to think I didn't have it with me because I was overseas, but and I left my records here in the States. But I thought it was probably just a reproduction of the. Is that a Murray Hill box set or something, perhaps? With
Yeah,
Fergoni-
Mercury.
records. Yeah, but I was really quite surprised with this when I got it.
Yeah.
I'll pull out some things, in the next few weeks
Yeah.
just to show you what I got. But this is, and see, it's old enough and so forth. This would be a decent investment for the price.
Oh yeah.
Because even when I bought it over 10 years ago or longer, maybe 15,
Cassin
I didn't pay that much for it.
On the concertos. I think he was still 13 when
Yeah.
he recorded those.
Yeah, because I don't know
Because
who
he
that
did the
conductor
later
is.
ones when he was like in his 30s.
And those are recorded in the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So, and then
That's
I
like
wanted to
handsome
show them.
balls.
Maybe sometime I'll flash around or take a camera to show you guys the other part of the library.
Yeah.
Because this is all you see.
Yeah, this is the secret to his madness.
This book
Divine
here
madness.
was one of the first books on Chopin that I got when I was studying with Professor Wynn. I was starting to commit myself to music. When I
Yeah.
was 14, I went and studied with a professor at the university.
Wow.
And my grandma bought this for me. And I just thought, it's a really nice book. It's all about Chopin, probably the typical historical stuff. I've got a number of things and some more interesting, more recent musicological discoveries. But what's really nice about this book, it's one of those kinds where it's just loaded with beautiful pictures, all kinds of things. It really brings the history alive. You get to see the paintings and the places, the notes, yeah. Those are notes from Dr. Wynn's romantic class on Chopin.
Wow.
It's kind of one of those general biographies put out by a company. You know, like one of the publishers I love so much, I think it's called Doris Kindersley or Kindersley.
Yeah.
They make all kinds of subjects and things, but what they specialize in is books with lots and lots of graphics. And, you know, for me, I have a big cookbook collection. I can buy cookbooks that don't have a lot of pictures in them. But what I really respect are the ones where they have a photograph of every dish. So that especially when you're cooking, like you were talking about your sister-in-law who learned how to cook Filipino.
Yeah.
I mean, if all you could do is read it, these are the ingredients and this is what you do, and you do this and you do this and you do this. Somehow I feel when I'm cooking what would have been an unfamiliar cuisine at the time, or it wasn't native to me, or I didn't know it too well. It helps to have pictures because it gives you a sense of what it should look like too, because that's part of it. Presentation is a big part of it. I mean, what if you take the pig and you take the other stuff that goes with it and everything else, and then you serve it, and your mom goes, "What's this?" And she goes, "Well, this is traditional Filipino boogie boogie boogie."
Yeah.
And your mom says, "It doesn't look like boogie boogie boogie." But you can flash the book in front of them, just show them some pages. You know, it's just
This is a very colorful
a lot
book.
of good writing, and it's all color mostly. Beautiful reproductions of the paintings of people and pictures and
Time life.
places where he went and everything.
Or life and times. Life and times zone. Look at these pictures. See? The gang. The places. The people. Some more places and people. Oh, recognize these two? You should. Yeah. Ladies George Sand. Beautiful. Oh, look at this piano. Look at the piano. Chopin played that. Amazing. Beautiful.
You know, my great hero early on in my serious piano playing years, and he's remained one of my favorite pianists, is Arthur Rubinstein.
Yeah.
But I've always been passionate about history. And now that I realize, I mean, the problem for me is if I'd ever decided to major in the subject of history, the problem for me would have been how to narrow it down to something to be that
Yeah.
microcosmically supremely knowledgeable about. You
Yeah.
know, I suppose I'm a generalist,
Yeah.
but I've dove pretty deep
Yeah.
into lots of areas.
Yeah.
I mean, and other disciplines, not just music, art, history, all kinds of things. But I think the root of it, and I'm not quite sure it's important. It's not even important, perhaps, to explain why. But definitely, I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandparents, especially in my family. I was always curious, like, where did I come from? Where are we from? You know, what's all this about? And I was always fascinated with things in the past. And I was lucky because of my grandparents' influence. I was lucky. They were long-lived people. Mm-hmm. I knew my grandfather's aunt, or even great aunt. She was still alive, living up in this house above Springfield.
Whoa.
Old country house.
Uh-huh.
They never had electricity. When we went to visit them in the early 70s, they had brought water into the back part of the house in the kitchen. So there was a pump in the kitchen for fresh water from the well.
Underground. Yeah.
And there was a shower. No, there was a bathtub.
Yeah.
But they did put up a shower. But the only two that showered was the aunt's daughter, Carol, and then her daughter. No, I forget what the mom was, but Carol was my cousin. When her mom would take a shower, she would take the water and reach over the curtain and pour it all over her. So, okay, great. Wow. This is the early 70s. The toilets was a double privy outside across the driveway next to the cornfield.
Oh, that was water closet.
No water. That would just drop it. And they did have toilet paper. But Grandpa said, I remember when we used to go up there and use corn husks.
Corn husks?
Yeah, corn husks. Or corn cobs to wipe.
Holy crap.
So,
literally.
And then one time, very unfortunately, Carol and I were messing around, and we were in her grandmother's bedroom. Yeah. And I reached in and I found this enameled pot kind of thing. I thought, oh, what's this? I opened it up. It was a chamber pot.
Oh, gosh.
Full.
It was full! Oh, jeez!
Woo! It hadn't been
Holy
emptied
crap.
yet. Hadn't been emptied.
I keep saying holy crap.
But anyway, I remember that kind of stuff. I mean, I was lucky. This was like the 1970s, but it was almost like frozen in time. If you went back 50 years to back to the time of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz growing up in Kansas.
Or even before that.
Even before that. There was no electricity in that house. They still used kerosene lanterns and stuff. Excuse me. When we went to visit, sometimes in summer we would stay later because here in Ohio, the sun's up until 9.
Yeah.
You know, but we generally leave for that because farm people, so they, once the sun's down, what's the point of staying up?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that because I think perhaps really, especially due to my grandparents, but then I had some teachers too, great history teachers, and I just really fell in love with history and all that. And eventually, I was saying that about Arthur Rubinstein being my hero, and I still perform nowadays again on a modern instrument.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where I got real serious about the performance practice stuff. And I studied off and on over a couple of years with Malcolm Belson. I went to take lessons with him in Cornell. And then I actually, he got me prepared to audition for the doctoral program at Cornell on forte piano. And I did a good job. I met Neil Zaslav, all these people on the faculty there and everything. And they have a wonderful program at Cornell. If you're in the doctoral program, it's a full, total ride, everything. Everything's paid for, including a monthly stipend, because they don't want you having to get a job and work.
Right.
They want you to focus
Study.
on your instrument, on your research, all that kind of stuff. And they have the money in the program, but they keep it small. So that year, there was a violinist who came from London, and he had already been doing early music there, but he wanted to get the doctorate. I forget who the lady was who taught the violin. But they decided, Mr. Bilson was really quite sad when he called me, very apologetic, but he said, I'm really sorry. But we gave the doctoral position in performance to the violinist this year. And he said, the argument was that I'd gotten my cream of the crop of a few students lately, and she wanted, this was a really great violinist, and she wanted him, and we agreed that we should take him in, but there was only one position open in performance that year.
Wow.
And I didn't get, so. But I continued to focus on the stuff and look at it. But I just have been drawn. I mean, if you look like that, you showed on the piano.
Yeah.
I forget what the name is in English, starts with a C. Collection of keyboards in England.
Yeah.
Big collection of historic keyboards.
Yeah.
And they sometimes they're up to snuff, so you perform on them most of the time. I'll look that up too, and I'll put it up on the page. If you listen to Chopin's period of time and the instruments that they were using, especially because he liked to play out. The full-blooded power and strength that Rubinstein shows us on a 20th century Steinway.
Not the same.
No. It's not that the energy, perhaps, or even what Rubinstein perceived to be Chopin's national patriotic fervor and all that wasn't there. It's just that the big volume broadcasting nature of the instrument of today, it wasn't there. And just the concept was still a little into the future a bit. These massive halls and places for performance, where you just needed instruments that could reach into the back rows.
Exactly.
I mean, there were opera houses, but if you look at the 18th, very early 19th century opera houses that were built, they little rooms compared to the mammoth things that they have nowadays. And then we know that, with in the 19th century, as the houses grew bigger and they needed to fill the sound and fill the space with more sound, they took a lot of those older pre-19th century string instruments and redid them.
Wow.
So that they improved them to manage to make them stronger projectors. Part of that was because they also began to pull the A up. It was like the tuning in Mozart's time was somewhere around A. It's 415 or 420. In 19th century Europe, it was very fluctuated. It fluctuated. But in general, I think it was somewhere between 430 and 435.
Yeah.
The Nazis were the ones that universalized A at 440. And they controlled a lot of Europe. But there was a more intimate nature performing. Anyway, I just enjoyed talking. I haven't seen you for a while, but I look at these pictures, and I mean, unfortunately now with Marston Records and other things, they're finding recordings.
Yeah, of course they are.
Of people that go way back in the late 19th century, or they were active and long-lived enough, like Sanson, or De Pachman, or some of the Raoul Pugno. Some of these, or some of Clara Schumann's students and Brahms' students, and then of course there's a ton of Liszt students.
Yeah, very few.
But it's interesting to hear some of the other ones. The French school, the Clara Schumann people, and the Brahms people.
Carl Friedberg,
for example. We really are getting the opportunity to hear something more like what Liszt and Chopin. If Beethoven were performing at the very end of his life, so let's say Czerny.
Yeah.
What he might be, because Liszt studied with Czerny.
Czerny, exactly.
I've just been fascinated with looking at the past for inspiration and for keeping it alive. Not to worship it and just hold it dear like some kind of tradition, just because there was a lot of ugly things in the past. And those need to be always there, and addressable and understandable, so that hopefully we wouldn't make the same mistakes again, but humans do that all the time. But I was just going to say with a book like this, and I have some others that I could pull out and share.
Well, I've been staying quiet here, mostly because I found a picture I've been looking for ages. Folks, I am staring at a picture, a very small picture of one Konstancja Gładkowska.
Oh.
You know who she is, right?
Yeah, go ahead, tell.
Let me tell you who this is.
Remember, you tip about a foot away.
Okay,
Otherwise
gotcha. It's hard to, it might be a little hard for you to see, but I'm talking about this picture right here. Okay? This was Frédéric Chopin's first crush. He was just a kid, basically. And apparently, in 1831, Chopin had to leave Poland. He went to Paris. And they kept writing to each other. They kept writing to each other back and forth, back and forth. Konstancja was an opera singer. She was a soprano. And, if they couldn't use words in their letters, they would write little pieces of music in their letters. Little pieces of music. And so, they would listen to the music in their heads and really be able to feel each other's emotions through this music. Boy, I would be curious to see what some of those notes were, some of those letters. That would be interesting. Do you have that book, Chopin's Letters? It's supposed to be published by Dover.
At least one. Yeah.
One.
I've got, I'll look at things that I have over there. My collection is built up, and there's quite a few more things I used to have.
Yeah.
But
so
I do have a collection of correspondence.
So apparently, at one point in Chopin's life, he did want to come back to Poland to see her, only to find out that she was gone and had married somebody else.
Yeah.
Her parents were not supportive of her being in a relationship with Chopin. That's why she wound up with somebody else.
And I don't know where his father played a role in that, but I know that there's other circumstances where he wanted to come back.
Yeah, and Chopin's parents loved her.
Yeah.
See, Chopin's parents really liked this girl, and they were hoping there would be,
I know it was his dad who wrote him at one point I was reading.
Yeah.
And there's something special. Chopin was born in 1810, died in 1849.
Yep. She outlived about 40 years.
I don't know if there's any special. Yeah, but there was some Chopin in the news the last year or two.
Yeah, where they discovered that new waltz.
Oh, not that. No, a little farther back.
Farther back?
But anyway, one of the articles that I read in a news article was about his father. And he really said, "Don't come back." You know?
Oh,
I mean, I think he was coming back for the revolution.
Yeah.
The wars were going on. His father just died. He had to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
You know, and he could achieve better things. I think he said something like that. You represent the spirit of our Poland in one of the important cities of Europe. That means something too, so that people will know your voice will speak for our nation and how we're struggling.
yeah. So I've been looking for this mystery woman for like the longest time. So there she is.
I've been around the world and
Yeah.
so many times and thought about it. I'm lucky that I have certain things that I've had for a long time,
Yeah.
as far back as I can remember. But then there's also things that I remember that aren't here anymore. They're up here, but they're not here. And certain things have just disappeared over time. I mean, one terrible tragedy was when I went from Japan, I was in Europe, Germany for a while. Then I returned to the United States, and as my choral library that I collected, 400 pieces. My books and all that stuff was sent cheap from Japan. And they're in boxes and everything, but then they put in those big bags, seal them, and they drop them into the bottom of the ship.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I got called into the post office in Denver, back in Colorado, and by way of San Francisco, they had managed to collect a few pieces of things here and there, including a piece of the box. It had burst open down there in the ship, and then there were other boxes with it, and they got mixed together. And some dear soul in San Francisco when the ship arrived tried to sort it out.
Yeah.
And then they sent me what was left. But to be honest, I never completely recovered from that loss, because I had well over 400 unique pieces of choral music. Some, significant things.
Yeah.
As a conductor.
Yeah.
And to recollect all that stuff at that point would have cost me quite a bit more money.
Yeah.
And as I was starting over at that point and doing some different things, so I've never really done it. But then thank God INS, I think. It's okay, but reminds me, just aside with Alicia de la Roca.
Yeah.
She taught in New York for a period of time, Julia, I think. And during that period of time, she had her library shipped across the Atlantic from Spain.
Yeah.
And they lost
it. Yeah.
Can you imagine? And this is a woman who started out like this old. And she talks about it in one book that I have over there on the shelf. She said that was a loss if one of my children died. She said it was the same kind of sense of grief and loss. She said, can you imagine all of those scores? And I had fingerings and notes and all kinds of things in the music, all kinds of labor and work that I put into it. In some cases, notes from lessons with my teacher.
Wow, it's all gone.
They don't even know what happened. She didn't even get a scrap. Just, no, we don't know what happened to it. It's gone. So.
It's so sad.
And I'm just jabbering and going on, but I'm really grateful that I've always had a passion. I think because of my grandparents' influence on the past, they always told me stories and told me things about how life had been and what had happened. But as we talked about growing up in Springfield, it was a pretty decent, Western Ohio. It was not a bad place. I mean, we were living in the sticks and it wasn't primitive. Whatever you New Yorkers and San Franciscans might think. We had access to stuff. But we weren't in London, we weren't in New York, we weren't in Chicago. So there were certain limitations. And then as I, got going into college and stuff and started to look at history in the past, it was harder to get access to things than it is now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, this thing has what? A gajillion times more computing ability
Yeah.
than the computers on the Apollo
Oh God.
missions to the moon.
Yeah.
You can look up anything and you have the pictures, but then also printing. I mean, if you think about Van Sweeten's collection that Haydn had access to,
Yeah.
it was one of the most famous library collections at the time, and a lot of which ended up in the hands of Brahms.
Yeah.
150 years later.
Yeah.
And now is in 21st century Vienna in the hands of the Prince of Music. I mean, books were expensive at one time, and it was only in the 20th century when, what do they call those kind of paperback mass media? They were for production, like hundreds of thousands of copies, those cheap paperbacks.
Oh.
They sometimes refer to certain editions of the super cheap paperback version.
Good grief.
I forget what it's called, but
I don't know.
it just meant, but they were cheap,
Yeah.
and now everything's more expensive than it was when we were younger, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, we can get access to so much, and as an individual, this could have been a high society aristocrats library.
Yeah. Right here.
Just this.
You get a college degree just for reading all this.
And then, like, there's a Sasha, but
Right.
Nimbus Records are around, but then
Marston.
Marston.
And the other one where you got the Granados recording.
Oh, yeah.
What recording was that? I can't remember.
It's not Pearl.
No, it wasn't Pearl.
No.
No.
International Piano Archives, but that's not what
IPA,
that's for.
but that's not what that is.
But,
very similar to Marston.
I mean, yeah, that they can dig this stuff up. And then when Marston's doing what these people were even able to do, the technological ability that we have to resurrect these sounds from the past. I saw something really cool. Now they can do things. There was a few years ago, they found the skeleton, they're absolutely certain, of Richard III, infamous Richard III.
No way.
They found the skeleton and it was underneath a parking lot in an area that they were excavating to make a building or something. But they dug down in there, and there were some plague victims and this and that. But they found this guy, and he had scoliosis and some wounds and things. And they absolutely determined, I don't know if they managed to do it probably with DNA as well, that this was Richard III, the one that killed his two nephews in order to ascend to the throne, and he had it screwed back, and he was often presented in not nice ways.
Yeah.
But this article was really cool because it was using facial reconstruction stuff, like they do in forensic medicine.
Yeah. They
So they recreated his face, so you could see more than likely that's what he looked like. And then they know where he came from, so the kind of accent that he would have had, he was a somewhat northern area of England, I think. And then, even based upon his skeleton, the nature of his probably length of the vocal cords and the resonance that he would have had in his chest cavity and things like that. And they hired an actor to record certain things that we know that he said publicly, maybe the speeches written out. And then they took that and put it in a computer, and then with AI and that kind of stuff, recreated the likely resonance and ambience of Richard III's voice with the kind of accent that he would have had from Northern England in the medieval period.
Wow.
And they made a recording.
Holy crap.
And they said, this is probably better than 90% likelihood of how Richard III sounded when he And it just, that kind of stuff just blows me away.
That's astonishing.
You know?
That is.
I mean, aside from the most astonishing thing, which was the resurrection of Christ,
Mhm.
I don't think we're going to ever get that good. But forensically,
Yeah.
we're really getting, and I mean, forensics actually, isn't that what the Marston guy does, actually,
Yeah.
with sound?
Yeah.
When he's, finding things that he knows. What he's really brilliant about, I think he knows a lot historically about what the timbres would have been like and things like that, and he's finding that like great.
He has a YouTube channel now, by the way.
Really?
Marston? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they do.
Is he not so old by now?
No, he's not that old.
Oh, thank God.
He's
Because I was concerned that he was probably up in years.
yeah. His name is Ward
Ward
Marston,
Yeah.
and what he's doing is a miracle, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple videos where he actually speaks and talks about the recording and how who the pianist was and how they were able to obtain the recordings and how they mastered it. So
I'll put his name up. We've listed him occasionally in shows.
yeah.
But it's if you're a real connoisseur and interested in historic recordings, I think they excel especially. Well, they have two memberships, right?
Yeah.
You're either interested in piano or voice, right?
Opera.
I think they got some strings too. Don't they? Violinists?
They might have.
Is it like Paul Kochansky?
Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
It's a rare thing, but we both have piano memberships, I think.
Yeah, we both do.
And what
Some of the
is it?
stuff
2 or
they
3
found.
times a year?
Something
They
like
send
that.
us
Yeah, complimentary.
something new thing. You pay a base membership.
Yeah, you do.
And then they send you some kind of new project that they're working on. But the really cool thing is that every time they do that, not just the main project, lots of other CDs.
Yep.
They just put in there.
Yep, they just throw it in
with
there as a
these- I mean, when I got,
yeah.
I forget which one because you bought me the electronic recordings of Wilhelm Kemp.
Yeah, the Beethoven songs.
Then there was something else that I bought with my first.
Yeah.
Well, no, they sent it to
Yeah,
me. The songs they did, it was like
something like that.
separate CDs that came along with the primary
Yeah.
subscription thing. And they were all fascinating historical documents. I mean, this is the thing that would have made a difference between living in New York. Because I remember reading The Great Pianist, for example.
Yep. LC.
Schoenberg, right?
Yeah.
And you say based on recordings. Well, I was thinking, like, where the hell are they getting
The
these
5 recordings, I know.
Well, rich people. I mean,
Yeah.
pre-tax days, rich people.
Yeah.
So in New York, maybe Buffalo, but the East Coast, London,
Yeah.
probably maybe Paris, Berlin, I don't know. But the really cool thing now is, thanks to the internet, YouTube and stuff like that, and generous people that upload this stuff,
Yeah.
you can just hear amazing things.
Yeah.
I forget, I'll put his name up, I was one thing that just wrote down this youngish violinist. We talked about him in the past. Holy, I think it involves excuse me, Jew.
Yeah.
He died quite young,
Oh.
late 20s or something.
Tosha Seigel?
Yeah, no, not Toshin Seigel. No, that was the guy that played the Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz?
No,
Okay.
this is a different guy. There's some wonderful recordings of it. This is gypsy music, but he plays this amazing. Like,
Joseph something?
When he died, he was. Let's put it this way: I don't think he committed suicide, but he
Oh, the one that I'm thinking of did commit
did.
suicide.
He commit suicide?
The one I'm thinking of. Let me see.
Yeah. Oh well, because he was a little off.
Yeah.
Eventually, emotionally, right?
Yeah. He was an institution, but
Yeah.
not with, not with the really.
No. But the poor guy just wasn't.
There it is. Joseph Hasid.
Hasid, yes.
Joseph. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Listen to his recording of the
I'll put his
Hebrew
name up.
melody.
Yeah.
Hebrew melody by Joseph Akron. It is the most heart-wrenching rendition
Yeah.
of that work I have ever heard. It's unbelievable.
So,
I mean,
in the past, when we were reading about the world of things like that in Finley and Springfield,
yeah,
there were people who actually could go to American Public Library
yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
listen to it and hear it.
Joseph Hassi.
And now that kind of stuff is available through so many different venues. Anyway, I suppose I just, you always get, well, I don't know about you, but I get rolling.
Yeah, I know you do. We're running at an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, we should probably call it.
So, okay.
But I think it's just, for me, I'm realizing it's kind of exciting being back at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I miss doing this.
Yeah, it was awful quiet.
I was starting to get withdrawal.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, I have so much to talk about. I
Yeah.
have so much to talk. Oh, what about this?" And all I talked about was this one CD. I got some more stuff in here.
Oh, I know. I see your bag.
Maybe we'll do
And
this
I
again
brought my
later
stuff.
on.
So.
But folks, if you liked our content today, the conversation, if you liked us, please comment, like and subscribe. Tell everybody tell your friends, family about us. And we're still going strong. We have plenty of material to go talk about. For Pete's sakes,
Yeah.
we could do this almost.
We're getting near the end of the year, and we've been doing this since 2023, but
Yeah,
we had no idea what we're doing.
No
There was
clue.
a disaster.
yeah,
Some the mediums that we used to record with didn't work right.
yeah, exactly.
And I was just getting started with the editing, and
Yeah.
that took a little time to figure it out.
Hats off for this guy
Well-
because he figured out all the electronic stuff. I'm just a dumb bell.
I don't remember now what the numbers, but we're somewhere around 41, 42, something like that.
I think it's 42.
Since the beginning of this year. We started in January
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah, we finally got it right.
And
Sort of.
that's a good number of shows. Given 52 weeks, we'll probably get a couple more done before Christmas.
I think so.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
Some occasional boo-boos.
Yeah.
There's a time, the very first time when, what's his name, my Russian friend? Dimitri.
Dimitri.
Came on and made a little show about
Yeah.
how we forgot to turn on the sound. But then that ended up not being the only time that happened.
Yeah, he's gotten popular, by the way.
Dimitri?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dimitri.
And our little boys here.
Now we got Tuki.
We got Tuki. Tuki.
Yeah.
And this is Eager.
Either.
And this is Grobu. Those are our boys. And they got their pet now. If I find any bird shit in this house, it's going to be hell.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Remember, we eat Tukis in this
Yeah. Okay, folks. Hopefully, we'll see you in our next episode. We'll see you at 42, I guess, or 40, 43, 42. I think it's 43, maybe. Okay. Well, anyways, like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you later. This is Marc Elmer. We are
Marketing Elmer's PSI Yellow Seed Investigations. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, dear.